Go ahead. Go ahead.
Moors and Mexicans, and South Moroccan indigenes. Prime social and political issues about the alien and illegal immigrants in North America. Taj Tariq Bey. Where is America? What is America? Who is the American? What is an immigrant? Who is an immigrant? What is an indigene? Who are the indigenous? An interesting dynamic comes to light when considering the social, political, and the social, political, and dispracting effect of artificially induced and of deliberated U.S. demo. Miseducation, the elite among the Inquisitionists, being the self-appointed upper class among the European conquerors of colonized of the Western Hemisphere, has succeeded by the way of such institutionalized misinformation strategies of falsely convincing the descendants of the subjected Moors of the Western Hemisphere to believe that the world was uncultivated and socially and politically disconnected for the most part. This being far from the truth, nevertheless has had free reign over the hearts and the minds of the natural peoples for generations over. But this is a new era of time now. The truth about the advanced knowledge of the ancient Moabite Moors, about their expansive and progressive dominions encompassing the Almoroccans continents, and the suppressed truth about their present day misname, misdirection, and branded descendants shall be and will be exposed to the world. These anthropologic truths about absolute involve the entire North America continent, including Central America, South America, and Americana, the adjoining islands. All of these lands and the aboriginal indigenous natural peoples of the Western Hemisphere collectively are direct and mixed descendants of the ancient Moabite Moors, the ancient ones. Prime social, political issues about alien and illegal immigrants in North America is applicable to all the South Moroccan indigenes and natural peoples. And so the title of the present writing is called Moors, Mexicans, and South Moroccans indigenes. The truth about the Far East. The rulers and scholars of the world know, and we, the Aboriginal indigenous Moors, know that the European colonial pre-Gaunus Inquisition have established their Roman order in the extreme West Maghreb. The motive and mission of this Inquisition was and is to gain control and to corrupt the seat of power in Northwest of Maxim, North America, by way of usurpation. We, the true indigenes of the land and others of the conquered civilized world, are aware of the historical facts and know that the present social and economical human suffering in the West has origins from the negating effects Niceno colonism. It has been the muse of it has been
Islam.
It has been the misuse of and the abuse of the political and economical power that has and does bring injury to the natural people of the true Far East, which has now geographically referred to as the West. It must be noted that this was a political act and not a mathematical calculation determined by true astrology and astronomy. The North Gate territory, North America, and its natural people were, are, and is the main political conquest target for the Constantinopolitans. The geographical location was anciently referred to as the Fountain of Youth, the Far East. However, the truth of geographic and history is not taught in the public schools nor in any other public institution held under demo European control. The ancient truth of the real Far East is that it is located in the zodiac sign Virgo, which reaches the highest degree in the deep waters of Boston Harbor and off the western coast of Florida, the land of flowers, northwest of Maxim, North America. The climax of the zodiac sign Virgo is 189 degrees east longitude, which is as geographically far east as scientifically possible. The demo European man is 180 degrees Mediterranean. The international dateline is political motivated geographic as drawn up by them in 1884. The true and natural people of the Far East, the dark-skinned, thick-lit, kinky-haired Moors, now with ignorance agreeing to calling themselves Negroes, have been primogeniture responsibility to burden of returning to the truth and and to the civilization. They will have to reload. They would have to re-educate the masses of humanity back into their true history and natural law, zodiac culture. The pale-skinned Paleolithic, Paleolithic, Paleolithic Franciscan nation of people have distinguishedly miseducated the world Inquisition and changed the course of human events with their pens after burning books of massive scale of a massive scale. They have successfully twisted and distorted true history, juggled and changed the mappa mundi, and have altered the names and locations of nations. Global geographic was modified to such a degree as to send the civilized world into a complete state of utter confusion. And the demo Europeans had not achieved this worldwide destructive feat, it would have been impossible for the Niceno Inquisitionist European colonists to rise to dominance and rule the world for their first time in history. The Niceno Demo Europeans attacked the North Continent with forced servitude, land thefts, William Lynch philosophy, and the Christian Black codes. They attacked the South Continent with the church's commissioning and conquistadors achieving forced servitude and land theft. These are major undertakings which committed with the natural peoples of the Far East, being called the West, and falling under the rule of the Niceno Demo Europeans. This history, amongst other events, must be known in order for the common natural peoples to understand that the antisocial motives, actions, and political and actions and policies which continue to emanate from the Europeans who established Pseudo government orders of the land Americas, which are not their own. Niceno Demo Policy Update. True world history is important competent of a good education as it reveals much to the trained eye as well as enlighten those less subjects to naive thinking. Much can be learned in spite of deliberate deletations, eliminations, and alterations made through Index Librorum Prohibitorum, and Index Expurgatorius, Index Expurgatorius. It must be remembered that a colonist is always a colonist, and that the generations of descendants does not and cannot change the descent nature of man. Europeans are still Europeans, and a colonist motive is to still and to subjugate U.S. demo-Europeans. Political policies, actions, and attitudes reflect the same. We will now take this time to exhibit an impacting expert from an update addendum to the Christian Black codes of the 1724 AD in harmony with the conquest mission of their Roman forefathers and U.S. demo-Europeans initiated an update contemporary crusaders military plan. This conquest and subjugation maintained strategy was officially classified as top secret. It is codenamed Silent Weapon for Quiet Wars. Introductory Programming Manual Operations Research Technical Manual TMSW 7905.1. Executive Order 11490, the King Alfred Plan. It was with heavy reductions, deletions, and missing pages released under the Freedom of Information Act, and is an unpretentious document of crusade intent and an update of the U.S. demo-Europeans World Conquest Plan. It is definitely a refinement of the Christian Black codes of 1724 AD. The Aboriginal and indigenous natural people of the Americas, Moors, Mexicans, and other South Moroccans, indigenes, must be cognizant of the truth about the long-term strategies initiated by the occupational Nacional forces from Europe. Due to miseducation, some of the ignorant among us think that hostile speaking Europeans from North America are merely misguided with antisocial attitudes and are being alleged racists who suffer to impose their prejudice upon the Asiatics of the planet. This naive frame of thinking is rooted in the lack of knowledge of true world history, and such naivete, it is not good. It is the responsibility and the duties of those who know to teach these who do not know. The following text is derived from a few pages which are extracted from the limited releases of Top Secret Introduction Programming Manual and documents which have been known and published as Executive Order 1149. Executive Order 1149, October 19, 1969, the King Alfred Plan, the Rex 84 Plan, concentration camps, Executive Order 1149 expanded, Top Secret, Silent Weapon for Quiet Wars, Introductory Manual Operations Research, Technical Manual TMSW 7905.1. The U.S. demo-Europeans do not want the already miseducated natural peoples to figure out that the fact that the Crusaders never ended their intent to dominate and destroy the Aboriginal indigenous people, families, and to thwart their ability to sustain a stable economy amongst themselves. This calculated manipulation and chicanery is intended to compel the Aboriginals into submitting of color of law, into sanction color of law governments. To achieve these ends, the U.S. demo-Europeans advised King Alfred. The experts are typed in this in italics. And so it goes into King Alfred, page 3 of 4, security. It is patiently impossible to discuss social engineering or the automation of a society, i.e. the engineering of social automation systems, silent weapons on a national or worldwide scale without implying extensive objects of social control and destruction of human life, i.e., slavery and genocide. This manual in itself, an analog declaration of intent, such a writing must be skewed from public scrutiny. Otherwise, it might be recognized as a technically formal declaration of domestic war. Furthermore, whenever any person or group of persons in a position of great power and without the full knowledge of consent of the public uses such knowledge and methodology for economic conquest, it must be understood that a state of domestic warfare exists between said person of group of persons and the public. The solution of today's problems requires an approach which is ruthless, candid with no agonizing over religion's morals or cultural values. You have qualified for this project because of your ability to look at human society with cold, objective, and yet analyze and discuss your observations and conclusions with others of similar intellect capacities without a loss of discretion or humanity. Such virtues are exercised in your own best interest. Do not deviate from them. This publication marks the 25th anniversary of the Third World War, called the Quiet War, being conducted using subjective biological warfare fought with silent weapons. This book contains an introduction description of this war, its strategizes, and its weaponry. May 1979. King Alfred, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Historical introductions. Silent weapon technology was evolved from operations research, OR, a strategic and tactical method developed under the military management in England during World War II. The original purpose of the operations research was to study the strategic and tactical problems of air and land defense with the object of effective use of limited military resources against foreign enemies, i.e. logistics. It was soon recognized by those in position of power that the same methods might be useful for total controlling a society, but better tools were necessary. Social engineering and analysis and automation of society requires a correlation of great amounts of consistently hanging economic information data to a high-speed computerized data processing system was necessary, which could race ahead of society and predict when society would arrive for capitulation. Relay computers were too slow, but the electrical computers invented in 1946 by J. Presper Eckert and John W. Mansueli filled the bill. The next breakthrough was the development of the simple method of liner programming in 1947 by the mathematical George B. Dantzig. Then in 1948, the transitor invented by J. Brandon, W. H. Breton, and W. Shockley promised great expansion of the computer field with reducing space and power requirements, which these three in positions of power strongly suspected that it was possible for them to control the whole world with a push of a button. Immediately, the Rockefeller Foundation got in on the ground floor by making a 4-year grant to Harvard College, funding the Harvard economic research project for the study of the structure of the American economy. 1 year later, in 1949, the United States Air Forces joined in. In 1952, the original grant period terminated, and a high-level meeting of the elite was held to determine the next phase of social operations research. The Harvard Project had been very fruitful and born out of the publication of some of its results in 1953, suggesting that the possibility of economic social engineering studies in the structure of the American economy, copyright of 1953 by Wassily Leontief, International Sciences Press, Inc., White Plains, New York, engineered in the last half decade of the 1940s. The now quiet war machine stood, so to speak, in sparkling gold-plated hardware on the showroom floor by 1954, with the creation of the Moser in 1954, the promise of the unlocking unlimited sources of fusion atomic energy from the heavy hydrogen and seawater, and the conquest of availability of unlimited social power became a possibility only decades away. The combination was irresistible. The quiet war was quietly declared by the international elite at the meeting held in 1954. Although the silent weapons systems was nearly exposed 13 years later, the evolution of the new weapon system was never suffered any major setbacks. This volume marks the 25th anniversary of the beginning of the Quiet War. Already, this domestic war has had many victories on many fronts throughout the world. Political introduction. In 1954, it was well recognized by those in position of authority that it was only a matter of time, only a few decades before the general public would be able to grasp and upset the cradle of power, for the very elements of the new silent weapon technology were accessible for a public utopia as they were for providing a private utopia. The issue of a primary concern that of dominance revolved around the subject of the energy science, the energy sciences. Energy is recognized as the key to all activity on the earth. Natural science is the study of the source and the control of natural energy, and the social science, theoretically expressed as economics, is the study of the source and control of the social energy. Both are bookkeeping systems, mathematics. Therefore, mathematics is the primary energy science, and the bookkeeper can be king, and the public can be kept ignorant of the methodology of the bookkeeping. All science is merely a means to an end. The means is knowledge. The end is control. Beyond this remains only one issue: who will be the beneficiary? In 1954, this was the issue of primary concern, although the so-called moral issue were raised in view of the law of natural selection. It was agreed that a nation or world of people who will not use their intelligence are no better than animals who do not have intelligence, such as people are beasts of burden and stakes of the table by choice and consent. Consequently, in the interest of future world order, peace, and tranquility, it was decided to privately wage a quiet war against the American Republic with the ultimate objective to permanently shifting the natural and social energy wealth of the undisciplined and irresponsible many into the hands of the self-disciplined, responsible, and worthy few in order In order to implement this objective, it was necessary to create, secure, and apply new weapons, which as it turned out as a class of weapons so subtle and sophisticated, and their principles of operations and public appearance as to earn for themselves the name silent weapons. In conclusion, the objective of economic research as educated by the magnates and capital banking and the industries of commodities, goods, land, service, and the establishments of an economy, which is totally predictable by the manipulatable. In order to achieve a total predictable economy, the low-class elements of the society must be brought under total control, i.e., must be housebroken, trained, and assigned a yoke in long-term social duties from a very early age before they have any opportunity to question the priority of the master. In order to achieve such conformity, the lower class family unit must be disintegrated. There you go. Disintegrated by a process of increasing preoccupations of the parents and the establishments of government operated daycare centers for the occupational or fan children. The quality of education given to the lower class must be the poorest sort, so that the meat of ignorance, isolation, inferior class from the superior class is and remains incomprehensible to the inferior class. With such an intel handicap, even bright lower class individuals have little, if any, hope of extracting themselves from their assigned lot in life. This form of slavery is essential to maintaining some measures of social order, peace, tranquility for the ruling of upper class. Descriptive introduction of the silent weapon. Everything that is expected from an ordinary weapon is expected from a silent weapon by its creator, but only in its own manner of functioning. It shoots situations instead of bullets, propelled by data processing instead of chemical reaction, explosion, or originating from bits of data instead of grains and gunpowder, from a computer instead of a gun, operated by a computer programmer instead of a marksman, under the orders of a banking magnate instead of a military general. It makes no obvious explosion noises, causes no obvious physical or mental injury, and does not obviously interfere with anyone's daily social life, yet it makes the unmistakable noise, cause unmistakable physical and mental damage, and unmistakable interferes with daily social life, i.e. unmistakable to a trained observer, one who knows what to look for. The public cannot comprehend this weapon and therefore cannot believe that they are being attacked and subdued by a weapon. The public might instinctively feel that something is wrong, but because of the technical nature of the silent weapon, they cannot express their feeling in a rational way, or handle the problem with intelligence. Therefore, they do not know how to cry for help and do not know how to associate with others to defend themselves against it. When a silent weapon is applied gradually to the public adjusts, adapts to its pressure and learns to tolerate its encroachment on their lives until it pressures psychologically via economic becomes too great and they crack up. Therefore, the silent weapon is a type of biological weapon, biological warfare. It attacks the vital options and mobility of the individual of a society by knowing, understanding, manipulating, and attacking their sources of natural and social energy and their physical.
We got a minute. So it's the same invite, whoever getting back on. When we get back on, if you want to continue, I can give you a break and go into are you confused about law? But if not, you can finish up.
Yeah.
But,
well, we on page 13, and I only got we on page 13. I'm at the bottom, and then it's going into the next paragraph. And
it's the same invite. And if you want to come back and read a couple more pages, and if you're getting tired, I can relieve you.
All right, I'll read a couple more then.
So what page is that? I mean, what book is that?
Moors and Mexicans and Others, South Al Moroccan Indigenes.
Okay.
I don't know how.
Same invite. Peace.